Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Ask Me Anything about Microsoft certifications. My name is Tiago, and I'm joining here today with Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
You want to do just a short presentation about yourself?
Oh, okay then. Might as well. I'm Sarah Fenner, for those who don't know me, Microsoft certified trainer for more years than I care to remember, Microsoft MVP, and I focus on the Microsoft 365 and modern workspace.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Julian Sharp. Hello, Mr. Julian. How are you today?
Hello, I'm Julian Sharp. I've been an MCT for a long time, like Sarah and Tiago, and I specialize in Power Platform and Dynamics.
Okay, cool. We are also going to have Andrew, but Andrew is still busy, but he will join us in just a small moment when we do their presentation a little bit after, we just get started. So what is the agenda here? So very simple. What we have is first, we're going to talk a little bit about why you should get certified. I think everyone already here knows you need to get certified, okay? But why is that? Then we're also going to talk about just a little ramp up about, what kind of certifications in terms of Microsoft certifications we have in which areas, etc. And look, this is an MAA, so just start your questions. I already see there's like lots of questions already coming up. That's good. And I'll just start to post them in here, and we're going to answer every single one of them, hopefully, in this in this MAA. If not, we can always do another one. And then, of course, tips and tricks. Okay, how you get that certification. Julian, Sarah, myself, we're all Microsoft certified trainers. So one of the things that we also do for a living is, we help people get certified. Not only that, for sure, but that's one of the tasks that we have in our roles. So we have among us, let's just say, we don't like to assume that, but we have kind of a few decades of experience and probably thousands and thousands of people that we help get certified. So we're going to ask those tips and tricks to Sarah and to Julian and to myself on how to get certified. But yeah, let's just get started with this part. And I have here why you should get certified. And the first part that I want to show you is this. This is a poll that I did a few weeks ago on my social networks, basically on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And one of the things that I wanted to find out is, why people are getting certified. And definitely, that was not a surprise for me. I was kind of expecting this result, to be honest. But I love the part that people say updated skills and knowledge. So I think that's a pretty good one. That's what most people, they get this is because they really want to get updated, and they really want to get that no extra knowledge. One of the things that I always say is when you get certified, is not just a certification, but it's the journey that you take to get certified. Then, of course, recognition, always important too, and career opportunities. I will just say better career opportunities for sure for some, and because it's a partner requirement. Okay, I don't know if you know, but there's the Microsoft partnership, and for you to become a partner, your company to become a partner, you need to have qualified personnel, and that also might be a big reason why some people want to get certified. But let me give the word here now. We can start with Sarah. Sarah, why do you think people should get certified? What are your thought about this?
Well, I'm going to go with the majority. There's the knowledge and the skills, and that's why I started my certification journey, was to really pull all of my knowledge and skills together. And I was training, but I didn't really have the depth of knowledge in the subject area. So for me, that was the starting point. But I think it's also quite nice to prove those skills and expertise as well. And for some jobs, it's a requirement. But for me, really, it is the skills and the knowledge.
Yeah. What about yourself, Julian? Why do you think?
Well, I started off originally getting certified because of partner requirements when I was a Dynamics partner, and we needed them. And And then through that, I got involved in doing training because I knew about the product. But I also do a lot of other certifications. That's really to expand my knowledge. I think now when you start doing a lot in the Microsoft ecosystem, you don't just stick in your own lane. Like, for instance, I have to get involved in doing Azure. I have to understand about identity management. I have to understand about data and storage. So for me, I use certifications as a way of expanding my knowledge. So right now I'm doing the DP 100 or preparing for that. I'm planning to take that next month. I don't need it for my job. I'm not going to teach it. But I'm interested in the whole machine learning, and I want to make sure it's a way of getting to cement my knowledge and practice.
No, yeah, definitely. I totally agree. It's for example, I have, I think most people do this when you have a new year, you start to, define some goals, for the next year. And one of the things that I have here for my next year is, to get the PL 300, which is basically it's the exam that gives you the Power BI certification. For people that don't know what it is. It's not that I'm going to start to build, and train people on Power BI, because that's just definitely not the case. I'm specialized in Azure, but it's for getting that extra knowledge, because I do a lot of Power BI reports when it comes to Azure policies and cost management, and also for just cost management on Azure. That's what I was saying. And I know that my skills could be better on that end. So I was like, yeah, let me just get that extra knowledge in here. I think that's a big reason why I kind of take certifications. Okay, so I think we can we have like there's like just already a question here, is that someone is saying that my certifications expire in 6 months, and then I renew my certification tomorrow. So then what will be the certification validated period? So basically, the question that someone is doing is, let me translate the question, because I know the question is a very common one, is someone has their expiration date in 5 months from now, okay? And if they took the renewal today, okay, what they want to know is if this is just one extra year that it's added on top of the already expired date, or if it's the 1 year that starts when he renews the certification, let's just say tomorrow, like they say here. I don't know. Julian, do you want to answer this one?
Yep, I'll answer this one. It'll be, if you do it for 5 months, you'll have to renew next time. You'll have 12 plus 5, so 17 months.
Yeah.
When you take certification,
it adds a year.
It adds a year. So,
yeah.
But for instance, I just renewed one 2 days ago from an exam I took 6 months ago. So you actually get your first renewal after 6 months. But I've only just taken this, and then so I took the renewal, and now it's till middle of next year.
Yeah, I have to confess that I do the same, because I'm always afraid of forgetting about that. Even though you get the email 6 months before it expires, then they say, because I never got the emails again because I renew right away, to be totally honest, but they say that you also get extra emails. I don't know, probably 3 months and every month, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there are
more warnings for
you. I don't know if some of you know that, Sarah or Julian, do you know that? What many emails?
Because I renew very quickly.
Yeah.
I've just had another one today for one I've been ignoring. I've got 2 months left on it.
Okay, so at least at the 2 months mark, you get another one. Yeah. It's very they're pretty good on that. Or look, what I tell everyone, if for some reason if you don't get the emails or something like that, you can always go to your Learn profile, and under certifications, if you have someone to renew, you will see a button there next to your certification. Click here or just renew, and okay, I need to renew this, so I need to take the assessment. Okay, cool. Okay, that's a good one.
I'll just point out one thing.
Yeah.
Renewals are all online. You don't have to pay for them. It's open book. But and some of them have been quite straightforward. Others, though, I know there's one particular Power Platform exam, renewal, which everybody's failing. People have actually failed it so many times they're just given up and retaken the exam. So don't leave it to the last minute. in case you have to do some studying, because this one you have to study a whole lot of things to be able to pass the renewal. Typically, renewals focus on all the new things, the things that have changed in the last 6 months to a year.
Yeah, I have to agree that, I think was the first renewal that I did was the AZ-104. And I just did the AZ-104, basically the Azure Administrator, because you don't renew exams, by the way. Okay, you renew certifications. Don't forget that part. So the first Azure Administrator, some time ago, when they started renewing certifications, I took it, just right away when it was available. And oh my God, I have to confess, I failed on that one the first time. And I was really doubting my skills because it's probably the most basic course that I teach, the most basic skill that I do on a daily basis. So don't be. And then I was like a little bit, oh my God, I failed on this. What? I didn't pay attention to this. Then I share, this among a group of other professionals, and everyone was failing on that. So I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone on this. So some of the certifications are, they're not easy, like what Julian was saying. They are not. Others are. Like, to be honest, I did the AZ-104. I did the Azure Admin the other day ago, and I don't know why, but now I think it's a little bit simpler, or they cleaned up. So there were like some questions there that I was really, not looking for a possible answer on that. It was like, this doesn't have an answer. So I think those were the ones that
some of the renewal questions aren't as good. They're a little bit vague, and I've done some feedback on those as well.
Yeah.
I would agree. And some of the questions that you get on the renewals aren't necessarily exactly what you'd be expecting. It's the way the product has moved on since you took the original exam. So the last, I just got up my Teams administrator renewal, but the last one I took, most of my questions were heavily security focused because the original exam didn't have security and compliance questions in them. So it's also looking at the exam syllabus and what's changed since you took the original exam can help.
Yeah. No, definitely. So we have like here another good question, which is, what about efforts from Microsoft to, basically counter brain dumps? Those, for people that don't know, brain dumps are those websites where, you have questions there. So, well, I'm not from Microsoft, so I don't know what kind of just things that they are trying to do. But as far as I know, they are always trying to do those. One of the things that they do is the questions and the volume of the number of questions that they have. So that and then having no names on the questions and things like that. So they have a series of techniques, so that is harder for people to memorize the questions if they found one of those websites. But
I think there are two things that Microsoft does. There's as Diogo says, making some of the questions have multiple alternative answers, so you don't get the memory test, and also having the more interactive questions rather than simple multiple choice. You have other questions which are harder to remember and brain dump. The other thing is I know Microsoft, we had a conversation about this, they do go after the brain dump sites, but the problem is many of them are outside of Microsoft's jurisdiction. They're based in countries where there's no way of shutting them down. And I think it's a fact of life. And the only way Microsoft does it is monitor. And I do know something else. Microsoft checks every 3 or 4 months. They look at every exam. If somebody's getting a question right, or everybody's getting a question right, they'll remove it. They write new questions every 3 to 4 months for every exam. So they're constantly turning. So these sites are always a little bit out of date. And I always advise, and often I have people come to me and say, okay, I've got this. The answer to this, what's the answer to this question? And I know it's an exam question because I've seen it. Where'd you get this from? They give me a dump site, and I look at it, the answer they're giving on the dump site's wrong.
You have I think there's like several things like that. It's like the dump sites, the quality of those sites are pretty. Let's just be honest, pretty poor. And I think most important on that is, for me, will I feel well with myself to have a certification that, I just memorized the questions from a website? Because someday I will have someone, trying to, oh, you have this certification, and they start to question me about that topic, right? And I'm not able to answer. The question that I put for the audience is, do you feel well doing that? Do you feel that this is going to be good for your career? Because I interview people for a living too, and they have like a bunch of certifications, and we do like 4 or 5 questions to them, and you're not able to respond to some of them, and we just see how you got the certification. So it's just not that hard. So you're just tricking yourself, I think, when you're doing this kind of actions. But that's just my
It does
point of
depend.
view.
It does depend how you learn. I always struggle to learn from just repeating questions over and over. I learn better by doing and by trying to break the system that I'm working with, trying to solve the problems. And that's how I learn best. But I know a lot of people prefer to do questions and repeat questions. But the thing is really to look at to try and stick with the official ones, because otherwise you could get yourself into trouble. I know, having worked on the official practice tests with Measure Up, that there's a lot of effort goes into ensuring the quality of those and the accuracy of the answers. So, I would be very careful with using the unofficial brain dumps myself.
Yeah. I think the practice questions, and we're going to talk about them in the end, they are pretty good because they'll let you just read the question and like, I don't know this. So you're going to search, you're going to research on that topic, or you're just going to open, whatever app you're using. If it's Azure, just open the portal. You just do something there in order to find out the answer for that. We have like here, it's not exactly yeah, it's a kind of a question. It's Alina, and she's saying that she always struggles to keep focus when reading questions. And any kind of exam was always a nightmare struggle for me. Is there any other way to complete the certification in a more interactive way, for example? And I think we can talk about labs. I don't know who wants to talk about the performance-based labs here.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll
You do
start
it?
off. Yeah. So we saw before COVID, Microsoft introduce performance-based testing where you're dumped into a lab environment or a real environment and you have to complete certain tasks. I really like these. I did a beta of these with the Windows 7, I think, years ago.
Yeah.
And the idea is you could complete them any way you want with the portals or with the CLI or whatever. But they withdrew them under COVID because of processing resources, and I hope they'll come back because I think they really do help a lot. But I don't think you're ever going to get away from the multiple choice and written questions. The only thing you can do is get yourself a really good screen, get good lighting in your test environment. I think that helps more because I've seen people try and take exams on small laptop screens where you can't really read the questions.
Yeah.
You get a big screen, high resolution, it'll make it a lot better experience.
Yeah, it's also, it depends what exam you're taking, because the office exams are all performance-based.
Yeah.
But you still need to read the instructions to be able to answer to carry out the activities. But I think you can maybe look at techniques for how you can answer the questions. For long questions, I always advise people to go and read the answers first, and then go and read the question, because then you know what information you're trying to match up, especially on the scenarios. I find that very helpful as a technique, rather than having to consume quite so much information from the question.
Yeah.
But it is a challenge for people who don't find that kind of way of working appropriate for them. It's not a question education generally is solved, is testing, for those people. But I think perhaps there are ways you can work with them to make it easier for yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, I love the performance-based labs, and I'm so sorry that not all exams. I think every exam should have some kind of that, because it's really the proof. And then just talking on my space, which is Azure, I took some exams that I had performance-based labs, and it was awesome, to be honest. I remembered my Azure security course had that, and not disclosing your questions, but they just told me like, hey, just go and do this. There's like some resources already done that, and you need to make them more secure. They were just saying do this, and we just had to go there and do those actions. You really need to know this. So brain dumps and stuff, that's also another technique that Microsoft uses to kill those websites. Because if you don't know how to do this, well, it's not because you memorize. Well, if you memorize how to do this, you're learning. So who cares, right? So that will be good too. Okay, cool. Okay, so what's more? Let's go here, and I have like some. Let me just bring here some slides about some of the certifications. And look, we're not going to go into deep into this, because just really doesn't matter. But if when it comes to Azure, as you can see, there's like plenty of Microsoft certifications in here. I kind of created this slide where I just divide, just Azure, data and AI, and security. And you have like those 3 levels, which is the fundamentals. The fundamentals are great certification. I think everyone, to be honest, should take and should start on the fundamentals. Even if you're like, I work in IT, so for like 10 years, 20 years, I think you should go that way, because this is new to you. That's Azure, because you're doing on-prem. Let's give that example. It's great. I took all the fundamentals that exist exactly for that, to give me that fundamental knowledge on other areas that I don't touch that much. Like, for example, Power Platform, like I was saying, Dynamics, definitely I don't touch on Dynamics, but just to have that very basic knowledge on what it is and how we can work with that will be good. Then we have the role base, which is the associate and the expert. The associate, it's the first, more tech level. And here we can see like an Azure administrator, just a role base, people that do administration of Azure, developers, a specific certification for developers. And with this, I just want to bring, by the way, this question from Ricardo. Ricardo is saying, if we have or if we know any rumors about re-adding certifications like C#, like standard development stuff. The answer is no. Okay, we don't know anything about it. I have to confess that I have done a huge pressure trying to explain this to Microsoft Learning or Worldwide Learning, to see that I think it's a very important role that we're missing. But there's still no news about this. I hope that one day we just have like news about like web development, C#, something around this. That will be great. But that's not the basically the mindset and or the direction that we have right now. So yeah, Azure Developer doesn't teach you how to code. It just teach you how, if you're already a developer, how to code with Azure services, and that's it. Which is great. It's a great certification. Okay, I love that. I love to have that certification. Then we also have network engineer. We have Windows Server hybrid administrator, which I call it, the new MCSA of Windows Server, because it's kind of that, but of course also for the hybrid part. So when you're having Windows Server working in the hybrid with Azure, with the cloud. And then on the data part, we have data engineering, we have AI, data scientist parts. So basically the core data parts that we have in here. Cybersecurity, my God, this is super important, I think, right now. And we start with the Azure Security Engineer, which is the AZ500 exam, up to security analysts, identity and access administration, which is basically Azure AD, information protection administrator, which is a lot of Microsoft 365 stuff over there. So very cool stuff. And then we have the top one, which is the cybersecurity architect, which is a great certification. It's the SC100, the exam, but has some prereqs on that one. Then you need to have at least one of the associate ones already done. And it's a great one. And if you work in the cybersecurity space, you clearly want to have that. It helps you on to how to design, solutions to keep your workloads secure in the Microsoft cloud. And I could not forget probably my favorite certification that I have, which is the Azure Solution Architect. That it's not just architect. I don't know if you can see, but it expands also for the data and AI part, because it also teaches how to architect data solutions. And then the DevOps engineer, I don't need to explain how DevOps it is important nowadays. But this is kind of all the offer that we have regarding regarding this. So basically that's what we have. I don't know if we have here some questions, but I will. I missed the administration Microsoft Azure SQL solutions. Oh yes, I did. So Fernando is saying that I missed that one. Yeah, you're right. I will fix that for next time. Taking notes here. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. I don't know if someone wants to go with the Microsoft 365. I think Sarah is our mega expert on this field here. So
yeah, I'll take that. I would just like to add that I kind of see the fundamentals as the what of the product. So what the products are, what they can do. The associate level exams tend to fit more into the day-to-day IT pro space. So those are your day-to-day administrators, your day-to-day experts. And then the expert level is much more of a consultant level certification, your kind of overview of understanding the full range. And actually, from a Microsoft 365 space, you find that the expert and the fundamentals have a very similar kind of topic range, but they're looking at it from a different perspective. They're looking at it from system design and architecture and decision making, rather than just what the product is and what it can do. So in a Microsoft 365 space, that's really how I would break them down. And as Tiago said, those fundamentals, great way to start out to find out what's in the product. There's a lot of information in there because it's everything Microsoft 365, but it's not very in-depth. And then if we start with the associate level, we've then got the administrator for each of the different work streams, desktops, messaging. Tiago, teamwork. Teamwork's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone. There is no longer a teamwork administrator certification. There is no SharePoint-based certification anymore, which I think is a really, really sad thing.
I have to confess, I copied this from the Microsoft website. So they are still promoting it, but okay.
Well, we can check how many years it's been gone, but it's definitely gone. We have got the MS500, the security administrator, and also the Teams administrator is a big one. We've got Teams troubleshooting now, which falls into the specialist space, which isn't on this slide. And the Teams voice engineer is an expert level certification. It's not really expert level in my definition of a consultant level course. It's much more of an IT pro space certification, but it is very much building on the knowledge of the Teams administrator course, which is why you've got the two together. And then the developer certification has changed its name a couple of times, but it does focus on teams now as a mechanism for delivering the applications you're developing in the Microsoft 365 space. And of course, those applications are now supported across Outlook and the other Office apps as well. So those are the ones that we've got. Is that all of them? MD 100-101 is your desktop administrator.
Yeah.
MS203 is your messaging. 500 is the security. 700 is the team. 600, 900. Yeah, I think that's all of them.
Yeah, someone was asking here if we could have, this with basically with also the exam numbers.
Okay, so the fundamentals are always 900.
Yeah, I have to confess that I didn't find a way to put the numbers here and still look cool the slide. But I will try my best to see if I can do that, and then I will just publish on my blog or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to think about with the numbers is the two letters at the beginning tend to refer to the product. So the Microsoft 365 is the MS, the Azure is the AZ because I'm English.
Or AZ.
The modern desktop is the MD. Power Platform are all PL. And Dynamics MD, Julian?
MB.
MB. And you can't forget the security ones, which are the SC ones.
Of course not. How could I forget those when I've done them all?
Exactly. Okay, so by the way, just for Fernando, already fixed here, already put your Azure Administrator. Okay, there you go. See, just live editing, this too. And because, Sarah did that, I also added this here so that we don't have the certification that Microsoft still has on their website, but it's not live. Again, it's already not live. So let's go with this. And I think, next, I think we can talk about Power Platform certifications. And I think, Julian, I think you can do a great work on this ones. And I hope I didn't mess up here too. And,
no, that looks right.
It looks right. Okay.
No, you've missed out Power BI.
It's the first one on the associate.
Oh yeah, it is. You're definitely missing one though. Developer. PL400.
Isn't the second one? Well, okay. Let's move on.
So Power Platform Fundamentals. Interesting, Power Platform Fundamentals is slightly different from all the other fundamentals. It's more about doing some of the capabilities. I will say most of the Power Platform certifications are more about the product rather than being role-based. They just look at the product from different perspectives. So there's an awful lot of overlap, say, between the app maker and the functional consultant. They both cover a lot of the same things. So I'll try and talk what they're about. Fundamentals is for everybody who's involved in the Power Platform. So for me, Power Platform Fundamentals should be everybody who's in IT, whether you're new career or both. Just to answer Shintan's question, I always think all fundamentals, everybody in IT or who's involved in that product in some way. App Maker is very much pitched at your non-IT person. It's the person who builds app for themselves, but it's not their job to build apps. They are an Excel expert. There's somebody in finance who builds their own little apps for them and their mates, basically. Whereas the functional consultant is more aimed at somebody who builds apps professionally, either for a partner or as part of IT. And they're the main two, to be honest. The rest are more specialist roles. Like one that's missing out is the developer one. Again, it's not teaching you how to be a developer. It's how to develop with Microsoft Dataverse inside the Power Platform and a bit of Azure integration as well. The Power BI data analyst is Power BI primarily. There's actually two Power BI exams. There's this one, and then there's also the DP500, which is the enterprise data analyst, which is more aimed at doing it with, say, big data. So Azure Synapse Analytics and Azure Purview come in there. So, but the Power BI associate is very much your departmental BI. So pretty much everybody wants to do reports or dashboards. And the latest one is the RPA developer, which I think is one of the most interesting ones, which is about doing what's it called? Robotic program automation, automating desktop applications, automating legacy. It's a huge market, massively growing. It's a very good exam, not a very good course, but I'll come back to that. And then finally, we've got the expert, which is solution architect, which is one of my favorite courses. I'm actually updating that for Microsoft at the moment. I'm going to do that by the end of next week. And that is how to actually take it all together, how to design solutions and build them using all the architecture and patterns and practices and best ways of doing solutions. Where you get much, that's very much a good quarter of that talks about integrating with Azure, leveraging Azure capabilities. The courses themselves are pretty good as well, but there is an overlap. So if you take the app maker, developer, or functional consultant, you'll see there's a large number of things that are the same. They're just in different depths. And I don't think that's true of some of the other areas, but definitely the Power Platform. Once you've taken one, you can suddenly get on to doing the others quite easily.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can go so that, just we're with Julian. Let's just go with dynamics. And please, Julian, don't.
I'm going to be.
We only have like 24 minutes, so don't explain all the associates, but go for it.
Yeah, at the MCC Summit in Zurich, I spent an hour and a half just talking about this set of exams, just going through. There are more certification dynamics than anything else. What they are is very much aimed at the individual applications, in depth. How would I go and implement them? So it's providing the skills for you to implement as a partner. So these, for me, are very much aimed at partners implementing, knowing the ins and outs of every application. The Dynamics and Power Platform Solution Architect has been retired. The one in the middle at the top is now just a Power Platform Solution Architect.
Okay.
Covers both Dynamics and Power Platform. So the one in the middle is gone. There's a couple of new ones. It's a huge area, and I would not even look at them unless you're actually involved in doing these products.
Cool. So we have here some questions. And by the way, let's introduce Andrew here on the live stream. Okay. So Andrew is also a long-time MCT. And I'm sure you can just do your presentation yourself, Andrew. Welcome.
Thanks, Iago. Happy to see the background and help out. And but yeah, long time MCT, mainly in the client Hyper-V back in the day, and more focused on fundamentals at the moment. Doing a lot of work with students in HE, higher education, to get their job ready using the fundamentals. Back to you guys.
Cool. I think I don't know if it was just me, but I think the audio was failing a little bit. But let's just move on. So we have like some questions here. Let's just go with those questions. Let me just take this out of here. So there's like some questions here. The first one is, about DevOps. So we have like lots of questions about DevOps. I think there's like 3 of them. This is the first one, is basically if it's a good idea to take the Azure DevOps certification, considering the GitHub acquisition by Microsoft. So, to start, there's also some certifications on the GitHub side. There's like 3 certifications. You need to ask permission to take them. They're still, not, let's just say, totally publicly available. But, you can just ask. They give you access. You just, take. It's about GitHub Actions, about GitHub in general. And there's a third one that I think is security. They're pretty good. Okay. I already took one of them. And, they're pretty good. I work with GitHub a lot, but I also work with Azure DevOps a lot. And Azure DevOps, it's a very, good product that's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. It's a product that sometimes people feel, it does the same thing as GitHub. Wrong. Okay. GitHub has still a lot to go until we get to the point where, we have data residency things with, DevOps that we don't have with GitHub. So there's a lot of features that we don't have. We also have lots of features on GitHub that we don't have on DevOps. And this is why, Microsoft is trying to integrate the most that they can the 2 platforms, because it makes sense, those 2 platforms. So just take the exam is the AZ400. It comes with a prereq if you want to get certified as the DevOps engineer, which is basically that one over there on the expert, the second on the expert. You need to be an Azure admin or an Azure developer. It doesn't matter which exam you take. It's always this is always the prereq is always on the certification. Okay, so you need to be an Azure administrator or developer, and then you can take that. The Azure DevOps exam, it's not just talking about the Azure DevOps, is also talking about GitHub. It's like mix, like it's talking about DevOps in general as an approach, Azure DevOps, GitHub, and it has a lot of the two over there. So it's a great certification. Okay, someone going back here, yeah.
I'll just interrupt. The Power Platform developer, you need to know both DevOps and GitHub Actions.
And GitHub, yeah. There is someone saying here that AZ is such a huge chunk. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to say, agree. It is not something that it is simple. It has lots of stuff because it's like what I was saying. It's GitHub, it's Azure DevOps, is how the methodology, how you implement this has a lot. So it's not just knowing the product, passing on the exam, and you're good to go. Well, definitely not on that. So, but it's a great, it is a great certification. Ricardo is saying, this is the basic. Oh, sorry, not this one here. I think it was like, I think someone was answering here about DevOps. I might have missed that one, but well, we have also here Martin that says that just to add up to what Thiago, Azure DevOps is going nowhere. Yeah, there you go. Both products have their own roadmaps, also different target audiences, I would argue as well. Well, exactly. So that's I think he was writing this before I said it, but that's basically what we have on this, definitely on this. So by the way, if you have any kind of question, just shoot them up, okay, on the chat. If you're on YouTube or on LinkedIn or Twitter, just do it. We get all of them in here, and then we can answer. One of us can answer your questions, okay? If I missed your questions, I hope I didn't miss any question that I had here. I'm trying to see everything.
There is one from Nikos quite early on about what certifications we'd like to see from somebody seasoned, to call someone seasoned.
Yeah.
I guess it would depend on the technology.
Yeah.
Okay, you just answer that. I will try to find the...
Yeah. I normally say associate level exams are pitched at people who've got a minimum of 6 months and preferably 12 months. Expert for me doesn't actually show that you're an expert. It's about being ready to be an expert. So it's somebody probably 3 to 4 years in, like the Power Platform solution architect. For me, you need 3 to 4 years experience because you need to have done a lot before you're ready to that certification. So hopefully that answers your question. So expert level is where you should be aiming at.
Yeah.
And also the same with the specialist ones as well. You really need a good 3 to 4 years before you start looking at some of the specialist ones, especially the troubleshooting ones, because it's the range of knowledge that you need and the range of expertise. Yes, you can learn it, but to really be comfortable with the exam, you're looking at that kind of level of knowledge before you would be expecting to have that depth of expertise.
Yeah.
It
does hurt when this customer insights, which is a specialty customer data platform, it's only a year and a half old.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen comments from people saying that most of the certs are not 3 to 4 years old. No, but most of the technology is. Not all of it, exactly. We're getting certifications coming out for technology which isn't that old, and then you've got to go with whatever experience you've got. But generally speaking, fundamentals for me is an introduction to the technology, not to IT. As Julian said, associate is your administrator. You should have a good year of knowledge before you even think about approaching that or experience before you think of approaching it, and then the expert as much as you can get.
We have here a great question. Okay, I think we can just adds up right now what we're talking about, which is about what certifications are we see coming. I think we'll see an Intune support engineer speciality soon. So I'll just add up something here, which is by the way, there's like a series of also certifications that is the specialty ones. There is, for IoT developers, there is another one for Azure Virtual Desktop, SAP administrator. I didn't want it to bring them up today. They're pretty cool. I have to confess, but they're pretty specific. And this is why I thought we didn't have time to cover those here today. But if you have questions on those, we're happy to answer to those. For example, the SAP on Azure, not that many companies run SAP on Azure. Let's be honest, comparing with how many companies run other workloads on Azure. So it's a very niche, let's just say, certification. I have that one because I already did a project that was exactly, helping a company moving SAP. I took the certification, and I can guarantee you that if I started to know not like zero on SAP when I started that project, when I ended that project, I started to know the names of some stuff on SAP, and that's my knowledge of SAP, to be honest. To the point that I took the certification, I passed because the certification doesn't cover SAP. It just covers that you need to know, there's this workload on SAP, there's that workload on SAP, what they are, and how you design and architect and implement those in Azure. I think pretty much, the speciality of some of them are pretty much this. So great certifications, but like I was saying, is a little bit niche on this. I don't know, Julian, you want to say something about the IoT developer certification? What do you think about that? Because I think you took that one, right?
Yeah, I've taken it. It's seriously hard as a specialty. You need to know a lot of Azure as well as a lot about IoT. It's probably I think the hardest exam I've taken out of all of them. I've done quite a few of the Azure ones as well, but that's probably been the most challenging, most difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about this one, Intune support engineer specialty? What do you think? I think it will be a great certification, huh?
Yeah, one thing I look at is Microsoft puts out on the Microsoft Tech Community site surveys for people to fill in on what skills they think are important. So they say, we're thinking about doing some certifications. And I saw one recently which hints to me that there's going to be something on Intune.
Well, I mean, we've got the modern desktop exams as they stand, which does cover Intune, but hopefully they would benefit from an update as the technology has moved on. So hopefully we'll see something along those lines. I would love to see something on Viva because I love working with Viva. And I also think along the same lines of the Intune, the modern desktop moving towards Windows 365 based exam, that would also be good as well.
I think the issue is we've had a whole load of new exams recently, over the last 2-3 years. They've slowed up. I've noticed there's hardly been any new ones recently.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really just going to be, isn't going to be the pace of new exams. But I think with you, I'd like to see something on Viva, but it depends on the product team. The product team have to invest in the certification process. They have to push for it. And I just get the feeling that the Office and Viva teams aren't as interested in certifications as the Azure and Data and Power Platform people are.
Yeah.
You look at the number of certifications.
Yeah, I think modern work has definitely slowed up on the certs side of things.
So one thing I'd like to chip in, if I can, if the audio is not too bad, is Microsoft released certifications.
Andrew, can you just check your mic? I think your Bluetooth is, I think there's like wireless is lagging a lot. Yeah. But yeah, so someone is saying here, that MS 101 is already focused in device management and Intune. Yeah, that is true. I think, but like what basically what Sarah was saying is, I think there should be, some refresh on this certification. Okay, definitely, because it's the
Yeah,
MS
I mean,
100
MS
and
100 and
101 that
101 were the first role-based exams. They're the ones we've had out for the longest. So they could definitely stand a little bit more of a tidy up than they've had.
Yeah. No,
I've got to run, so I've got to drop off another call. Good luck.
Okay.
And
Thank you for having for being here, Julian. And yeah, it was pretty valuable. Thank you very much. And we will still have some time here. Still have like 10 minutes. Okay. So we have like here some other questions.
Still audible, or is it still rubbish?
It's still a little bit like that, but I think it's a little bit better, but it's still not good.
Okay. Let me speak really quickly then, that might help. Is Microsoft release certifications to drive interest in their products, it feels sometimes. So for anybody who's thinking about, what jobs to get, what certifications to get, is if it's of interest to you, get certified on it, because it will teach you the product. Some people will say, what should I do first? Should I get the experience? Should I get certification? In an ideal world, you should do both, but you've seen already, so many certifications come out really, really quickly. New technology is always changing. Pick a topic and go with it, and dive in and become an expert. Sarah will tell you, Teams was not around 3, 4, 5 years ago. Viva is a new product, and there will be certifications for sure. So if you like a topic, be the first. I think, Sarah, you were one of the first people to do Teams. So be the first and put it as a badge of honor. It doesn't matter if you're the 10th or 100th in the world, you're still in the top 1% of people with that qualification. So don't wait. Don't go after something that's old, like Server or even Azure. Sorry, Tiago. Pick something that's new in Azure, like a specialty, like Microsoft 365 in Azure, or the virtual machine. But
no, definitely. So I think for recapping, so that, because the audio was a little bit bad, what Andrew was basically saying is, if you're in the limbo, that I don't have the experience, I don't have the cert, where should I get first? Yeah, definitely take the cert. Okay. And then this is also to answer, some of the questions that we have here. And there's like some kind of a chat here going on LinkedIn about that. It's how are we able to achieve an entry job as a cloud engineer? We get this question a lot. It's because, do I need to get the certification, the experience first and then take the cert? But how do I get the job, right? So it's like, the chicken and the egg problem in here. But definitely, a certification is something that probably is a little bit more under your control. Okay. So it's something that, wherever you live, you can start learning. You can start, and we're going to, just give you some tips on how to get the certification. But you can just start on that. And, definitely you get the certification. And after you get the certification, you already have something to prove to a job. And when you show this to a job, you're not going to say, I have 3 years of experience, when you don't have. But, people will see, he has the cert. At least he is a person that cares to learn. I think it's a great plus, to be totally honest. It gives you probably already filters, when they're just filtering, the resumes. They see someone with no experience, no cert. You have you with cert, no experience. What do you think they're going to choose? They're going to choose the person that has a certification, because at least it's something that is a plus. That is a plus there. Okay. So definitely that.
And just to add to that, Tiago, Julie and I were saying you need this amount of experience for that certification. That is a guideline. Not everyone's going to be the same. Some people work better by being trained and then getting the experience. Some people prefer to gain the experience and then work towards the certification independently. It depends on how you're approaching it. But if you're coming to the certification courses with no experience of the product at all, those courses are going to be very challenging for you. That would be all I would say. Even the fundamentals, if you've never seen the product at all or never even read about it, that it's a very, very steep learning curve.
No, yeah, look, definitely, you really need
it's
to
possible.
dedicate some time, but it's possible.
It
Exactly.
is possible.
It's one of the things that I say to everyone is, so people that are entering into tech, they're new, they never work in tech, and sometimes they see us as people that work in tech for many, many years, and we're like genius, all of us. And that's just a total lie. We're not genius, okay? We're just regular dudes, regular people, and some of us, yeah, they're smarter than others, like in every other job. Like in every other profession, you have people that are smarter, others they're not. Just that, where, I don't know where. See, I'm not that smart, I cannot even point. See, but basically that's the kind of the idea. And one of the things that I say, everyone, just go for it. Is it easy? Definitely not. I had the pleasure to teach a group of people that some of them, they are not from tech, they're adults, and they wanted to enter into tech. And I had people that, their previous jobs, they were doing HR, they were doing, stuff that is not anything near, the mindset, the brain that you need, how you need to use the brain is not exactly as all as we do in tech. And they struggle a lot, but they made it. Okay. And today they are working, and I still keep up the career of at least 3 or 4 of those. And they are working, and one of them is here, okay, in the chat. I saw already that person here. That they are working, and they are cloud engineers, one of those persons.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, from talks with some other colleagues, she's pretty good. So but it took her time. Probably takes more time.
You take my career. I started teaching German in secondary school. I didn't start in IT. I then ended up in IT teaching end users, and now I'm training Office 365 administration and security administration certs. And as the comment you've just pulled up shows, sometimes the course is not enough. You have to put in extra effort. You have to learn more, you have to put in the time and effort. And that's what I mean by a steep learning curve. You can't just rely on book learning.
No.
Even as good as we are as instructors, you need some experience as well.
Definitely. That's why, for example, myself, I don't do just training. I do training and I do consulting, like kind of 50-50, or like my wife says, it's more 60-60. But
it feels like that.
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes. But basically that's kind of the idea, because I can get that experience, because stuff is always changing, and in the cloud world, everything is changing all the time. So you really need to keep up all of that. We have here Luis. Luis is saying that it took you a few months to study for the developer cert. He is an entry developer working in a cloud migration project. What cert do you recommend him to take? Definitely start with a 104. Okay, I think this is my area here. So it's definitely start with a 104. That's a pretty good mistake that a lot of people do is, oh, I finished the developer, so what is the next one? And for you to get the expert, they go for the AZ400, which is the Azure DevOps. And, they go with that, and because it's kind of the natural part. But the AZ104 will give you tons of prereqs that you're going to need also to do your job as a developer, because you're going to learn a lot of things there. But also, on how to study for the 400, which is also something that you need to know, the basis of Azure, and the administrator definitely definitely gives you that. I just want to call out here something here, which is how to get that that certification. Some last tips and tricks that we can get to people. I will start first, if you let me, which is there is no right way. Okay? Every single one of us, we learn in a different way. And just do what feels better for you. And there is plenty of ways to get started. I always, I'm an instructor. I like ILT, which is instructor-led training. I think it's good you are focused with someone which is an expert on a topic. And if you can afford that, or your company affords that for you, that will be really, really great. I know not everyone can afford that, sure. So there's also other ways. Video-based learning is a great way to do that. You have courses on LinkedIn Learning. You have other platforms like Pluralsight, Udemy, and probably a bunch of others out there. I'm not going to name all of them, doesn't matter. We have Microsoft Learn, which is not video-based learning, but there's like tax. There's some videos here and there, which is also totally free. There is books, okay? There is also practice tests, and I think it's kind of a mix on all of this. I don't know, Sarah, what's your thoughts about this part?
Yeah, I would agree. The only thing to watch out for, especially with YouTube videos, is the dates on them. The technologies that we're working with are quite rapidly changing, so do watch out for that.
Yeah, good point.
If I'm going for a certification, if I'm working towards a certification, I like to download the objective domains, the outline, if you like, of the topics, and try with that. In the Microsoft 365 space, I always recommend people to use the developer, the Microsoft 365 developer. What would you call it? The account that you can get. You can get a Microsoft 365 developer account, a tenant. If you just look for it on social media, I'll post a link in the chat in a little bit on LinkedIn. But if you look for that, you can get an account to practice with, and that does help. And what I do is go through the objective domain and tick off the ones I'm comfortable with, and then research further on the others. And I would do that after a course. Anyone who comes on a course, I always recommend people to go through those objectives and mark them off before they take the exam. And then post-exam, regardless of what your result is, look at the feedback, look at your score report, and pick up the areas you're weaker in. The exam is not the end. It's midway on the journey. We've got renewals, etc., to come, and you may not have got the passing score, but that results will show you which areas you're weaker in, and that's where you focus the majority of your time going forward. So those are my tips.
So I've only got a few left because you've said most of them. I am a big fan of the fundamentals. Start with the fundamentals, because that will give you most of the fundamentals are free if you attend a Microsoft virtual training day. So not only do you learn, but you get a free exam. Use the free exams as an opportunity to get exam familiar, because if it's your first time you've done an exam, it's quite hard, it's quite intensive, and intimidating. We need to get you over that fear of taking an exam.
And by the way, Andrew, let me just add something around the exams. In the I just posted here, okay? There's this link, which is the link for the exam demo simulator. If you go to this, you can find, it's just a web browser. On your web browser, you just get like an exam, which is a fake exam, okay? But it's the same software that we're using in the exams, the same UI, the same UX, so that, like what Andrew was saying, is go for the fundamentals, also to get familiar with the exam, something that I totally vouch for that. But even before you go for the fundamentals, check this out, because it also gives you a little bit on that part, and it's pretty good what you can get from from this. It's really awesome, the stuff that we have with this.
Yeah, and there is the Microsoft certifications guidance that they have on Microsoft Docs as well. There's some really good information on there about the process of taking an exam, which I shall pop in the chat as well.
Yeah, I think the other thing is exams get easier the more times you've taken different exams. You become more familiar, you become more relaxed. It's not, okay, if you fail every exam you take, then the other thing is I tend not to use the word exam. I tend to use it as a test. Just call it a test. It's a test of your knowledge. That's all it is. And if you go into it prepared, you've done your practical, you've done your practice sample questions, you should be good. Only things that are on that objective domain that Sarah mentioned will be on the exam. So don't diversify. There's various pages out there which will give you the objective domain and then a link to every single item on there. They're really good resources. You should go through them. And that's why it can take a couple of weeks to actually learn this stuff. So don't feel like you can cram it in a night and pass. You might take a few weeks. Take that time.
I know we're out of time, Joko.
It's easier.
Yes, it is. I think it is.
Can I have one final tip?
You have one final tip, so let's go with the final tip.
Don't be afraid to fail. It's about learning. Give it a go.
It costs money, though. It costs money to fail.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I think that's the only downside, to be honest, because I think that's an important part. Is sometimes people they delay their exam. They do lots of practice exams. Oh, still not ready. Look, and then
if you fail it 3 times, get some help. If you fail it once,
it's
get
normal.
Some help. Don't cry into a bottle.
If you fail one time, the first time, it's not a big problem. I think it's something, something that is perfectly okay. You're just not ready. If you fail, sometimes I have like students that they fail with the passing score is 700 in 1,000, but they fail with like 690 something. It's like, come on, it's just take the exam again. Like a week after, and you're good to go. You're going to pass. Just study more, and definitely you're going to pass. If you fail with a very, very low score, well, yeah, don't try in 1 week. That's my advice. Just give it some more time, but just look at what your weak spots are, and you get that as a report in the end of the exam, and just study hard, and I'm sure you're going to ace it in some time in the future. But if you fail with a very low score, you need to look at what it is, right, and just prep yourself better. But yeah, like Neil was saying, failure makes part of the process of the journey. Yeah, that's exactly. So I think we're going to close it right now. We're already over time, and I don't like to go over time. So it was a great pleasure to have you here, Sarah and Andrew. We had lots of questions, and if you still want, just pop up the questions. Still, go on LinkedIn. Just make your questions, do a post and tag us, and I'm sure one of us will be happy to to answer to you. My inbox is always open, so you can always send me a private message. So that will be great. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.